The Lakers trade for Mark Williams, but what does he bring for the Lakers? I'm Sean Davis. Make sure you guys subscribe here to the channel. Turn on those post notification bells as well. We're trying to hit 20,000 subscribers by the time the playoffs roll around. It's a very, very exciting time here on the channel. So make sure you guys do subscribe. You guys' support has been incredible over the last few weeks. We have killed it. Last night's live stream was incredible. Had a blast. Be able to talk some hoops with you guys, talk Lakers basketball. This is a amazing time of year. This is not the film breakdown, although the hope is I can still get a film breakdown out possibly by tomorrow. But if you guys are just now joining in, last night the Lakers would have been around midnight, Eastern time. So I guess today the Lakers go out and they are able to acquire Mark Williams. Charania, ESPN, says that the Lakers are trading Dalton, Knecht, Cam Reddish, and a 2031 unprotected first rounder and a 2030 pick swap to the Charlotte Hornets for center Mark Williams. That is, again, per Charania. So this is what I think Mark Williams brings to the Lakers. First off, this is I do think it is a long-term play. If you had to sway more long-term versus short-term, and I am going to look at my left a little bit, still make sure there's no, breaking news, trade or whatever as we are recording here. But Mark Williams, let's start with the offense because I think that is the more optimistic side of the floor, obviously. Mark Williams offensively, I think is a really, really fun offensive player. I think his touch around the rim is insane, and that opens up some stuff for him out of the short roll where he has a pretty reliable push shot that he likes to go to, a capable post-up scorer against some mismatches, does a good job, I think, of gaining positioning near the basket, has a post move or two that he can go to, but I think he's a legitimately good finisher around the rim. He is not an A-plus lob threat, but he's a damn good lob threat. So think of it like, I don't know, first name that comes to my mind is like Evan Mobley. I think Evan Mobley's a better lob threat, for an example, than Mark Williams. Sometimes like the ultra quick explosiveness isn't there with Mark Williams, but that does not mean he's not a good lob threat for a Luka Doncic, for an example. And then just in general, his ability to just be a roll and cut big in the half court is important. I think he's taken steps this season as a short roll playmaker to where, to give you guys a comparison, I think he's worse than AD from a playmaking standpoint. But I think if you just give him a blank read, where think of it like a quarterback, NFL quarterback, you say, look, you have one read on this 3rd and 2, you're going to hit this flat route, and if you don't have the flat route, then run. That is basically Mark Williams as a playmaker. He can make the necessary read if you just give it to him. When we start to complex some things and have 5-out action, and he's the delay initiator or things like that, I get a little bit more concerned. But if you put the read in his face, I think he can make it. I love his transition ability. Like if you go back to that game recently, he had 38 points, against Jaren Jackson Jr. and Zach Edey, and he is just racing up the floor. I think that's something that maybe Laker fans haven't been able to get used to recently. Just his ability to just be a rim runner, a legit rim runner too, to the point where Bron and Luka and Austin get live ball rebounds. Mark Williams might be down the floor already. They're going to be able to just throw it to him, and he's going to be able to catch and finish. I think it's a good screener. I'm curious to see if the touch helps expand the range at all. He's a good free throw shooter. He's averaging 4.5 free throw attempts per game, shooting 78% from the mid-range this season. Although, he has not taken, any jumpers this season. My bad. He's taken one three all season long, and that might even be a heave, right? So I'm curious to see, as a part of the Lakers' development, if they're able to get a 15 to 17-foot jumper in there, kind of in pick and roll situations, kind of how you would see a lot with Anthony Davis, where the defense is like an ice or a dropper or whatever, and AD kind of finds a soft little pocket space to where you can hit the short roll pass and he can just, knock down that 15-foot jumper. I'm curious to see if that's able to evolve as a part of Mark Williams' game. I think people are a little frustrated at losing Dalton Knecht because he was one of your younger prospects, and that's, deservedly so. But Mark Williams is the exact same age as Dalton Knecht is. Has legit upside. I think offensively right now, I think he is at a really, really, really good offensive center that now gets to play. He gets to go from playing with LaMelo Ball, who is a really good playmaker, to going to play with LeBron James, Luka Doncic, and Austin Reeves. So Mark Williams, I think, is going to really, really enjoy playing next to those guys. Also, got to add, I'd be remiss if I did not add the fact that he is a amazing offensive rebounder. And I will say, I think the Lakers have gotten a lot better rebounding the ball recently. Just by adding Luka and Mark Williams, Braun's a good rebounder. I think they're a good rebounder. Getting Vando back, I think, helps a lot too, obviously. So that's kind of an extensive breakdown of his offense. He's grades out really, really well. He has an A offensive LeBron grade. And I think that reflects a lot of what he does really, really well. Let's talk about the defense for Mark Williams. This is kind of the side of the floor where I think I disagree with some of the data. And I think the biggest point, you guys have probably all seen it by now, right? I'm sure you guys have all seen it by now. The F rim protection grade per B-Ball Index. And shout out to my guys over at B-Ball Index, Cranjitsky Basketball. He's going to be on an episode here pretty shortly, or in the near future. The FB Ball Index rim protection grade. I think that I can understand that. I think he is a bad rim protector as of right now. I don't know if F's is warranted, but there's a couple of things with Mark Williams that I think can be addressed. Number one, I think I think he competes. I think he has a good motor. I think recently maybe that's not been the case, but you do have to evaluate some of this stuff with a grain of salt and go like, bro, he's playing on an awful Charlotte Hornets team that recently, especially, I've not had anything whatsoever to play for. But really the last 10 games, averaging 20 and 12. I think defensively, there is a lack of fluidity within his hips. And I think the biggest problem with Mark Williams' defense is I think for the most part, it's something that can be fixed with elite coaching. And, Nate McMillan and JJ Redick are going to be the guys that I think you appoint this responsibility to. But I think with Mark Williams' defense, there's two big things that kind of concern me that I would look to address. Number one, his ability as a drop big. I think one of the things that you're going to notice this, one of the best things about Anthony Davis's drop defense, and why I think Rudy Gobert gets a lot of shit for his drop defense, but Rudy's also really, really elite at this. Elite drop bigs, drop bigs, meaning bigs are going to play in a lot of drop coverage, which Mark Williams is. You have to be able to kind of play the cat and mouse game and not only be able to understand and fully recognize that there is a guy rolling behind you and willing to dunk on you if you give him the opportunity to, but also be able to show yourself and navigate the ball in the ball screen. Because a lot of times in drop coverage, the on-ball screen navigator, he's chasing and trying to get back into the play. So you have to give him some time to get back into the play while at the same time understand that there is a 7-foot dude coming behind you trying to dunk on your face. And I think Mark Williams, a lot of times, I'm not even going to say a lot of times, I think he is incredibly, incredibly inconsistent at playing the cat and mouse game. And I think it's a fluidity in his hips, honestly, and not be able to quickly go from one place to another, if that makes sense. I think foot speed is even the problem. I think he's a capable mover. I think you see that a lot in late clock scenarios where teams are able to get a switch on him. He has the foot speed and the length to just stay in front. So it's not a foot speed issue. I think it's a hip fluidity issue in terms of being able to turn in different motions pretty quickly and recover with Mark Williams. And then I also just think there are a lot of plays. There are a lot of plays with Mark Williams, and I will show this in the film breakdown. There's a decent chunk of plays with Mark Williams where you go, man, he could have blocked that. Or and honestly, it might be due to a lack of self-trust in terms of if I try to contest this, am I able to trust my instincts and trust my ability to get back and still recover and make a play at the rim? And like I said, those are just two things with Mark Williams. I think you kind of have to see if you are able to correct, right? If you look at Mark Williams, now the good news about Mark Williams is regardless of the fact that he is, I think, a average to mediocre defender at the rim, especially. The good news is for Mark Williams, he is at the very least a decent shot deterrent. Like teams with him on the floor are shooting 8%. Like they take 8% less shots at the rim. So he is forcing teams to shoot more mid-range jumpers. I'm checking my phone to make sure that no trades happen. They are forcing more mid-range shots. They are forcing more long mid-range shots. And that's a good thing, I think, for your defense from a process standpoint. So regardless of the fact that I think he has some hip fluidity stuff and some things that I think can be kind of figured out, it's interesting. It is interesting, and I'm curious to see what the defensive role is going to look like. Right, I don't think he's this super reactive guy. He can cover space because of his length and I think he still has good athleticism, obviously. There's a lot of stuff that we saw on film in terms of his ability to guard pick and pops, and drop coverage is a weakness for pick and pops anyway, but I don't think he does a good job of kind of, again, recovering out, contesting, because again, I think he is worried about playing in too deep there. Post up stuff, I think he's fine. I think post defense in general is a pretty team related skill, but I think he has those possessions. There's this one-on-one possession that I did see in film. There's this one-on-one possession with him against Jokic, just kind of getting tossed around a lot. Like there's some good post up film. There's also some bad ones too. So I think defensively he is an inconsistent defender that has a lot of upside because he's just traitsy and athletic as hell. And you're taking a gamble. I think the Lakers are taking a gamble in general on Mark Williams and on Luka. But those are two gambles. I think if you're the Lakers, you just have to make those, because then in 4 years or in 3 years or whatever, those deals can really, really, really pan out for you. And we don't even care about the fact that you gave up, 2020, 2031, 2030 picks or whatever for Mark Williams. The injury stuff, the Lakers seem confident that stuff's behind them. And for the time being, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. So yeah, that is that. All right, guys, I'm going to get back to working on this film breakdown. Really, really appreciate you guys a lot for your support. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button and subscribe here to the channel for more great content and coverage. I'll be going live here in just a little bit after I get this video posted. So be on the lookout for that. Follow me on X, Sean _DAVI. As always, go Lake Show. Peace out.